Ahlan wa sahlan, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome again to yet another session of Mental Health Tuesday here at SambaSports Youth Agenda. Every Tuesday is a coveted Tuesday evening where we offer a platform that allows us to learn, to share, and to enjoy stories of inspiration, stories of motivation, stories of mental wellness. We use this platform to share on mental wellness because we understand that around us, so much is happening, a lot of stressors, a lot of trauma, a lot of depression, a lot of people taking their own lives. We use this platform every Tuesday evening as an opportunity for us to heal and help others heal. It's another special Tuesday night, and very excited today to invite and have on board one very special lady from our neighboring country, Uganda. She was one of our participants last week, and she kindly accepted to be our guest tonight. Eva Nakato, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
Fine, and fully excited to have you on board. And the topic that Eva is going to be at the centerpiece of is not a very easy topic. It's a very sensitive topic to most of us, but a topic that needs discussion. Eva is going to talk about living positively despite living with HIV. And I am aware that this is a very sensitive, but we are very someone who willingly and openly agrees to delve. Hi, Eva, are you ready? We start moving on with the topic?
Yes, please, I am. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much. For starters, Eva, can you tell us who is Eva Nakato? Who is Eva Nakato? Briefly, and then we take it up from there.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Eva Nakato. I am a journalist with Vice Versa Global. I'm also an actress and a commercial model and an advocate of HIV and sexual violence. So that's briefly about me. Thank you.
Wow. Journalist, advocate, a model,
Advocate, yes.
a singer. I
A
saw something like that. You're a singer.
yes.
Wow. All those into one package. Thank you very much. Eva, allow me to ask you this. At
Yes,
what
please.
point, at what point in your life did you realize that you are living with the virus, with the HIV virus? At what point in your life did you realize, or did you discover, or were you told that you are living with the virus?
Thank you so much. Well, the story is really long, so I will just start from where you have asked. I realized that one night, when my mother sat me outside with my twin sister, we were still living with our grandparents, her parents, and she sat us outside on a bench and she asked us, "Do you know what HIV is? Have you heard about AIDS? Do you know what," she was just asking us basically, how can you tell when someone has AIDS or has HIV? So of course we would just answer as kids because it was all over the schools. There were small posters put up: AIDS kills, don't do that, you will die of AIDS. And also the movies those days were always horrific when it came to HIV. So one day she sat us outside. I think it was because I was always falling sick, and my twin sister wasn't falling sick as I was. So this affected me, and I lagged behind when it came to education. She proceeded with her education. It's not like I completely failed, but I had to repeat a class, but and then she left me. So she was a class ahead and I was below her. So that affected me, growing up, and affected the way I lived. But of course, at first, because kids were never this close to until around 12 or 13, okay, when they were mature to understand. And so we hadn't actually gone to the hospital yet. And I was taking this medication and I had no idea what this medication was about. So she just sat us outside and disclosed to us because the counselors suggested that it's best if she discloses to us. And then after, we could go to the hospital and meet a professional counselor. So after that night, it was quite shocking to us. And she told us, well, I your mother, I am HIV positive, and you are also HIV positive. And we asked how come? And I think I was the kind of child who always grew up feeling pity for people, because those days it was always, like I said, it was horrific. You just watch the movies, they terrify you. You just see the posters in school. It was just, it was like, okay, when you get HIV, that is like the end of you. So that's the mentality that we had growing up. And of course, I remember as a child, I would always pray for people who had HIV. Of course, by then we would call it AIDS because, yeah, we didn't really know the difference between the two. And then I would just pray for these people. So hearing it from my own mother that, hey, do you know what, you have this? And then we asked, okay, what about our father? She was like, no, she doesn't. He doesn't. So we asked, okay, how did this come to be? And then she was like, it was through blood transfusion at birth when she was giving birth to us. So they had to put some blood on her, which was, infected and all that. So we cried, of course, like that night we cried, and she was like, I'm here for you. And then what we didn't realize is we never, as kids, we would always see her take medicine, but it never really, it was like, oh, maybe, maybe headache, maybe that. But after that moment, I think it really hit us that she has really done her best to guide us in whatever way that she could. She wasn't a rich woman. She was and she wasn't that poor, but of course we didn't really have much. And then we cried the whole night, and then she was like, she is our pillar of strength. So in the morning we went to the hospital, and then of course we met the counselor who disclosed to us. But of course it wasn't easy, because now we really understood, okay, now this is why we're taking this medication. And then it wasn't really easy moving forward, because now we had to go to boarding school, and you know how boarding school is. We couldn't actually tell the students that, hey, do you know what, we couldn't discuss with our friends, we couldn't discuss with our family members. And then it happened that we had to shift to our father's place, and we met our half sisters, and then it was and half brother. So it was really different, because this side, they knew what was going on with us, and on the other side they had no idea. So we had to always hide our medication, which of course have affected our adherence. I don't know if most people here do understand what adherence means. It's when you're taking well your medication, and then you don't have to, you're taking away your medication, and then it doesn't affect you. If you're not on medication and you're not consistent, then it kind of affects you, and it becomes resistant. When we say resistant, that means the virus is really. Oh, okay. Oh, this is my sister's also joined. Welcome, Robina. Yeah.
Nice.
So the medication, it resists. Sorry, the virus resists to the medication, so it doesn't work, and you have to change to a different, medication. So that is, what we experienced. But yeah, that's how like we found out, on a bench outside. I remember it was at night, and then she disclosed to us, and then that's how we started the journey, taking our
Oh,
medication.
thank you very much, Eva, for being brave and tell us that. How old were you sitting on that bench? How old were you then?
I think we were around between 12 and 14, around that
Mm.
age. Yeah, because yeah, they couldn't tell us such, they couldn't give us such information, as young kids, because of course we couldn't understand much. But then the fact that we were not adhering to our medication, because we thought, oh, these are painkillers, maybe these are vitamins, maybe these are what. So we would just take it, the way we want. But then time came and we really had to understand why this medication was important. So I think it was around 12 to 14, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I also want to throw spanners is that moment as a young girl. You also discover things, so you are confused, and it is that moment
Hello, can you hear me?
I think I got cut off.
I think I lost you at some
Yes,
point.
yes, there was a momentary slip up. I think um, I want at this moment to explain the difference between being HIV positive and having AIDS. Of course, everybody would realize we said HIV positive, we didn't say someone has AIDS. And I know at this moment, because you are carrying this topic, Eva, very shortly, could you tell someone what is being HIV positive and what is having AIDS? That progression for at least for our participants to understand. You've done a good job already explaining adherence, and basically it's about being consistent with the medicine. And if you break the cycle, then they may be they may affect their effectiveness, and then you'd have to change another regime because that one has already been broken. But now you may also tell people what is it being HIV positive and not having AIDS? What is the difference?
All right. Can you hear me? I hope I'm clear.
Very clear.
All right, great. HIV is the virus that causes AIDS. So AIDS is like, like the many diseases that come together that attack a human being, and then of course you develop AIDS. But HIV is just the virus. It's like an infection that attacks the body's immune system, which is called the human immunodeficiency virus. So that's why we say I am HIV positive, because I don't have AIDS. You understand? And then
Yes.
if HIV is really not treated, and it can progress to AIDS, you know?
Yeah, thank you, Eva, for that. I wanted to pause before we moved with other questions so that people also understand. Um, in in the circles of HIV management, when you're HIV positive, it's just that you have the virus, immunodeficiency virus. When you have AIDS, it is said to have acquired immunodeficiency disease. That is when opportunistic infections have taken advantage of your lack of immunity to attack you. So when all these other infections
The
attack you and
infections.
you weak, that is when now
Yeah.
you can be said to have AIDS. But before that, you can
Yes.
live
But
with
different.
HIV as HIV positive for as long as any other person can live, and
Yes.
without any signs and symptoms of the disease that is AIDS. Thank you very much, Eva. I want us to go back to your story.
Yes, please.
How long that? How long? What did that realization that you have HIV? How did it affect you? You've stated that a bit. I want you to go deep and tell us how did the realization that you are living with HIV virus, how did that affect you, and what was your lowest moment? Eva, did you hear
Can you
that?
can you hear? Not really.
I'm saying when you realized that you were HIV positive, it hit you. Of course, you cried the entire night. How much did it affect you? Of course, in your relationships, socially, in your education. Um, how much did it affect you? And what was the worst experience that you can share?
Thank you very much. Of course, after realizing that it really affected, like I said, our adherence, because we had to hide our medication all the whole entire time, not only at home, but also at school. And I think at school things really got worse because a school has got programs of its own that take place at a certain period of time. So you find that you have to go to class and your medication is at 7, and yet you have to be in class before 7. So you can't rush to school, to the class with your medication, because you're trying to avoid these other students, seeing you taking your medication. And also in the dormitory, you have to wait for all your friends. You know how students sleep in the dormitories, it's close to each other. So you have to wait for them to leave, and then you take your medication. So remember that this medication, as you're taking it, you have to make sure that it's taken on time. If it's 7 a.m., it has to be 7 a.m. If it's 8 a.m., it has to be 8 a.m. So that was a very, very huge challenge. And also at home, the fact that not everyone knew about who we are, what, we were, we had to also hide. We had to lie, like in case one of your relatives found out, hey, maybe saw the medication somewhere, you had to lie. And also, of course, growing up in relationships, it hasn't been easy. I won't say it has been, but it hasn't been easy. Some work out, some don't work out, but majority, of course, don't work out. Because once someone, finds out about your status, they maybe go silent, and also like friends, like some friends, like once they found out, they would use that like against you, especially like when you have an argument with someone and they'll be like, well, I think one person described us as a walking dead, I don't know if she meant vampires and zombies, but well, that's how she described us. And also in the community, some people who had started watching us on TV, because that time came when we really disclosed. And it wasn't like something we had really planned, but it was because of a blackmail that came in. And one of the relationships that my sister was in, the guy decided, he just formed a fake account and he started blackmailing us. And worst of all is that this person, you would always judge with this person, you always talk to this person. And you sit down and you're like, okay, we are having a blackmailer. He's using a number we don't know, a Facebook account we don't know. And then he was like, send me money. Otherwise, I'm going to tell all your friends this. And he would somewhere, somehow, figure out the numbers and send messages because he wanted money. But this is someone you would sit with and he would even plan for you. Do you know what? Let's catch this guy. Let's do this. Let's even report to the police. But since, we were still students and, we didn't really know much about how to go about it, we just decided to. So my sister, out of frustration, we're like, you know what? If this person has decided to do this, then let's just do it. And it's not something we actually talked about. She did it on her own. But of course, as my twin sister, I was like, I cannot let my sister fight this battle alone. So it was one morning when we had come back from a conference that we had gone to, and we would always go to these conferences with other youths who are living with HIV, and we would sing, but of course we would never talk about our statuses. But we were just trying to, enjoy life and, feel like, yeah, we have a place we belong. These were HIV conferences that would happen, I think, every year or every after 2 years. So we would use that opportunity to go and sing. We would do that as edutainment. We would do dramas, we would sing, we would, we would do everything we wanted to do, but we would never talk about our status. So after this incident, we happened to have come back with some t-shirts that were written on HIV positive. They were so cute, but of course we were like, no, we can't put them on. So then my sister puts it on and tells me, hey, just take a picture of me. So I take a picture and I don't know. So I share it with her. So, and by then, like, we had separated. I was in a different college, and she was, at the university, because, she was a year older than me. But now she was at the university and I was at college. So she puts on this t-shirt, tells me to take a picture, and I took the picture. After taking the picture, I think it was around evening time, I see a Facebook post, and she posts the picture, and I think she didn't even put a caption. So then our counselor at the time called her. There was one lady who we really confided in at the hospital. I'm not being disrespectful, but it is what it is. Like, we really didn't have a good experience at the hospital we get our medication from, because the counselors were not, our information was not, it wasn't confidential at all. You would find your issues, talked about in the wards, at the reception. Someone would even call you, I had this. And you're like, okay, just talk to a counselor. So what is this? And even the doctors, some of them will be like, you guys don't take your medication, so don't, I don't want to work on you. But remember, the people that they are telling did not even receive any information about how we were supposed to take this medication diligently, what would bring about the resistance. It's like they just gave us the medication. They're like, you have to take it on time, so just take the medication if you want to live, blah, blah, blah. So no one took the effort to take us through the whole process. How is it? What are you going to experience? So we really had a bad time at the hospital, but not entirely, of course. But of course, we had those moments until we decided that we only want to talk to one counselor, and she has been with us up to now. So we really appreciate her. And then so this counselor calls us, and she's like, oh, hi, Robina, what's this I'm seeing? Because it's not like she didn't want us to disclose publicly, but she wanted us to be ready for it, because it comes with a lot of challenges. So we put up, I think I called her too. And then she was like, well, if this blackmailer person wants to get money out of me, and we were not even working, we had just lost our mother to cancer and we were grieving. And then just a blackmailer just comes from nowhere and just starts, doing this. So she calls her and asks, are you in your right state? Do you need to talk? Are you okay? And she was like, I'm okay. So I start getting phone calls, and everyone is like, okay, you're twins. How come your sister is HIV positive and you are not? And then I told them, yes, I am, because I knew that I couldn't leave my sister, to fight this battle alone. So of course, phone calls came in, messages came in, Facebook messages. Some of them were bashing us. Oh no, you guys are lying. HIV positive people don't look like you. You have good skins. You have this. And others were like, no, we've studied with you guys. One person told us, hey, I mean, you guys are just trying to make money. Even up to now, that guy thinks that we are actually making money, because one day he was like, oh, you actually haven't bought a car. How come you haven't? People are really gaining from this HIV thing. And I just looked and I was like, okay. So some people really don't believe, but that moment, I think what really empowered us were the messages that came in on our messenger, and people were opening up. Kids who had gotten HIV, but the parents didn't even know. Kids in secondary, kids in higher primary, university students, married women, married men. They were disclosing, and they're like, my partner doesn't know. What should I do? And remember, they're asking someone who is not like a counselor. It's just someone, a normal person like they are. So it wasn't easy, but then we also, that was tough, honestly. So people always come up to me and they're like, oh, you guys are really, I see you guys, on TV, are on this, how can I get there? But it starts with disclosing, and you have to be prepared for it. You don't just disclose because you want to attend conferences, or you see Eva is interviewing these people. No, it comes with a price. So, and you have to be ready. If you're going to disclose publicly, it comes with a lot. The good things come and the bad things. We lost a lot of friends. And the only people that remained were, I think, I don't know, I think they were like the friends that remained were like 3 out of 10. We lost a lot of friends. You would just inbox someone, they're like, this and that. And then it also happened that at my sister's, at the university where she studied, the students ganged up and they wanted to set her on fire, because they were like, how do you walk amidst us? You want to infect our boys, blah, blah, blah. So, you would always move on tenterhooks. And now remember, the person who was our pillar of strength had just died. And the people who came to visit her in the hospital, they were like, okay, Nalonga Fude. Nalongo is means twin mother. And it's a title given to, of course, mother of twins. So they're like, oh, no longer food. And then, of course, they would be like, but it's AIDS, not cancer, it's AIDS. But literally, they would just come to the hospital. They would see her with no hair. And of course, we were in the cancer ward, but someone would go out just to spread the rumor that, you know what, their mother had AIDS. Their mothers died of that. So it was a tough time, but it also came with some really good things. And we're not proud that, we have HIV. No, it's not something that we really we wanted. We just, found ourselves that way. And then I think the most painful, but I think it was a good moment when I look back, is when our dad found out. So one day I happened to be at boarding school still. Remember, now my sister had left that school and had gone to another school, and then I was still at that school. So I was in my final year. So my dad, I fall sick, and then no one knew, not even the nurses, not even the headmaster. And the worst part was, this was my father's school. So everyone, there's a way they look at you. Oh, director's child, director's daughter, everyone wants to be friends with you. But of course, you have to push these friends away, because you have something you're hiding. And now I happened to fall sick, and then they call my dad. They were like, okay, we've tried this medication, it doesn't work. It's not working. So I think we need to take her home. We need to call her dad, and she's taken, home to maybe their doctor. So my dad comes back, and what I did, I packed my stuff in my backpack, and I got my envelope, which had the medication. I would walk with it literally everywhere. And those teens can shake. So you have to be ready for the shaking, but you have to make sure that you go with the medication, because, if you don't take it, it's not good news. So I got my backpack, I placed it on my back. After packing my clothes, I got the envelope, put it behind my backpack. So in my mind, I thought I had packed it. Because I had to take my medication, I was like, okay, once I'm done, I will just pack the envelope in my backpack. So I took the medication after, and then I forgot to pack it. So he came later on in the evening. So when I came, and they were like, oh, you know what, Eva, your dad is here, so please come and go. Now remember, this is the director of the school. When he comes, everyone wants to greet him, and then the students are out of class. They all want to greet the director. They want to maybe take pictures, and maybe the nurses have to come and give an update. So it happened that the nurse who was working on me was there, the school nurse who was working on me was there, standing beside him, and telling him, oh, yeah, she has been falling sick, blah, blah, blah. So they were wondering, what is wrong? So I come to the car, I get in the car with my backpack, and then I close the door. Now I realized we had a cousin who were studying with at that same school. She came running with the envelope. So when she came running with the envelope, remember, I'm in the car, and I'm looking through the window, and the only thing I wanted to do was to scream, to just tell her, hey, don't come. So I don't even know what she thought, because maybe she didn't even bother, because she thought maybe this is Eva's medication for something, but of course the dad should know. And of course our dad didn't know. So when she came, she hands the envelope to our dad and to the nurse. And then dad was like, of course you could see the expression on the face. And then that moment I was like, I wish I could just call my mom and tell her, do you know what? Things are about to go bad. So he gets the envelope, gives it to the nurse, and then the nurse just puts it up and like, oh, this look like ARVs. So I believe that is how the rumor started spreading, because when I came back, everyone was like, oh my goodness, the director's kids are HIV positive. Oh my goodness, the director's kids. So imagine how my dad was feeling in that moment. He couldn't speak, he couldn't move. He was like, no, I don't know any of this medication. And then it was a shock to the nurse herself that, oh, the dad doesn't know anything. So that I think my dad had to cool himself down, and then enters in the car and then gives me the envelope and like, oh, are you feeling okay? So I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But in my mind, I just wanted to call my mom and just tell her, because I knew that if my dad called my mom, she would be like, no, blah blah blah. But I wanted to just prepare her. So we go we come back to Kampala, and then I go to the doctor, and then of course the doctor comes and checks me, and then he asks me a few questions, and of course he confirms that yeah, this is it, because I couldn't really lie. It was hard to keep it together. So the next morning we drive to our grandparents' place where my mom lived, and that was like, they just told me, do you know what, just go to the bedroom, we will call you back. And I just had people shouting, and it was bad. It was bad. So that is how like our dad found out, but it has before he finally confirmed it, that okay, my kids got it through blood transfusion, because he had these doubts, as any human being. And then he was like, are these really my kids? He went and tested, he's HIV negative. I was like, are these my kids? But until we carried him and took him to the hospital to speak to our counselor, and then he was like, oh, all right. So it has really been quite a journey.
Wow, thank you very much, Eva, for being brave and eloquent on that story. I want to open it up for the audience now to share their views, to share their feedback, their feelings, before I move on with the rest of the questions. Anybody who wants to say something, you may raise your hand so that we give an opportunity, or you may write on the call chat. Anybody? Anybody wants to say anything to Eva?
Yeah, maybe I can ask something. And
Yes, Ben.
thank you for being so brave and speaking so openly about your status. I know it's not easy for people to come through to such a level or such a stage. My question is, yes,
sorry,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hear you. We are hearing you so much. Drop the microphone.
Okay, let me.
Have you invented a public address system? You are too loud. It's cracking.
Can you hear me? Is it
way
better?
better now? Yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick question, Eva. Now I know you know you're a beautiful lady, and I'm sure you still attract quite a lot of men. Let me not call them young or even old, but men in general. How do you find it easy or hard to disclose to them that I am HIV positive, even way before you go any further with the relationship? Thank you.
All right. Should I answer now, or should we wait for all the questions to come in?
Just go. Just take it on.
All right,
Eva.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So, like I told you, since we really opened up and disclosed publicly, it's been quite a journey. It's been years, a lot of years, and right now, how I do it. Once I'm approached and I see, oh, this person is actually serious, I don't tell you if I don't really see that you're serious. But if I see someone is really serious, I open up, probably around in the second or third week. I open up after some time, which is not after a month, because I don't really want to waste people's time, and I also don't want them to waste mine. So I open up and I tell you, and then if you don't believe, I get the links from the YouTube, the work we've been doing, the music we've done, the advocacy, and then I send it to you. So you process it, and if you feel like you need time, it's okay, because of course it's not easy. So for me, it's actually easy, very, very easy to open up. But of course, I also feel for the person I'm opening up to. I've been in a relationship whereby the parents of this young man really liked me, and the young man also liked me, but the mother was just, concerned. But what I'm really glad that we actually do communicate. She gives me a call, she asks me about this, how is life, and it was a good ending, because I don't really like relationships that end, in a very, very bad way. It's good that you can just keep being friends, but she was really respectful, and she was like, I like you so much, but I'm just concerned, I'm worried for my son. And I understood it. It is never in bad faith. When someone turns, rejects you, it's always in good faith. What I don't like is someone using that to attack me. Like in some relationships, someone can show you that, hey, can tell you, you can't do it without me. You're HIV positive. You can't do this, like HIV doesn't define me, it doesn't define who I am. And I know my grounds. I think that's what many young women need to understand, that you have to have your principles as a human being. You're not any different from any girl. Have your principles. If you want a tall guy, yeah, so be it. If you want a hardworking person, so be it. Don't just feel so desperate. I know most HIV positive young people feel desperate, Of course, we all feel it at some point, but then you're like, I might, make a mistake, or I might fall into another relationship that might not end well. But of course, you disclose to them. I'm not telling them to do so, but on my end, I am very comfortable. I tell you, others also research about me. They research about me because they have seen me and all this and all that they've heard about me. So they go and do their research and come back. They see on Facebook, on YouTube, on whatever, and they come back and they're like, okay, do you know what? Let's try to see how this goes. Yeah, so it's not entirely that it's because of the HIV status that relationships have ended, but of course, majority of them never last because of that. But when I see someone disrespecting me in a relationship basing on my status, then I'm sorry, it's a no-no for me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Eva. Anybody else, please raise your hand for me to give you an opportunity to speak. But there's quite some good vibes, Eva, on the call chat. Manaisha says, wow, I love the courage. Flavia Ango
Thank
says,
you.
Eva, thanks for sharing, so inspiring.
Thank you.
Riziki says, do we have support groups, and how or what is status of sustainability for it being a challenge in Kenya? That's a question maybe that we need to answer. Matano Omar says, my empathy mode is activated. We love you, Eva. Keep moving. Kindly share your Twitter handle. Eva, you share your Twitter handle on the call chat.
All right. Thank you so much.
Shera Wanjiru says, we love you, Eva. Very courageous, and thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Manaisha says, I just wish I can meet you face to face. I think I need a hug. Thank you so much, Manaisha.
Thank you,
And
dear.
for that, Eva, is it possible for you to share your video now, or you are in a situation where you can't share? For those who want to see you face to face, they can have a glimpse of you here tonight.
I'm in a situation where I might not be able to at the
Okay,
moment. Yes.
we respect that. Okay.
Yes, but I can share my handles, and
Okay.
then you could always follow me.
Okay. Rispa Sharota says, much love, Eva from Kenya. How has it been when it comes to work? So that's another question. How has it come? How has it been? She's a journalist. She's a singer. She's an advocate. of us. She has a lot of work than a lot of us.
Yeah, I didn't really get the last bit. Is it a question?
Despite your status.
How has it been at work?
Rita says, how has it been when it comes to work?
Okay. So, of course,
Yes.
at work, should I, or are you still?
Let me give you the other one.
Yes,
What if
please.
a guy gets into a relationship with you, despite your status? How do you both go about that relationship?
Okay. All right. So can I answer, please?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much. So the first question was, how has it been at work? Of course, it was never easy, honestly, but I'm really glad, and I speak with genuine truth that Vice Versa Global it's an opportunity that I got. I don't know, it was just an opportunity that came up, and I just, dived right into journalism because I realized that I got a lot of, from the TV shows and the radio stations, I got a lot of, feedback, and I realized that I needed to give people an opportunity to share their story, the positive impact that they are creating. And on the Vice Versa Global channel, which I request that you all go and share, we're a young media group of journalists, African journalists who are trying to change the narrative of Africa. So I sat down with my boss and I told him, do you know what? I feel like I really need to start a show that gives a platform to these people who need, people who don't have spaces in the media organizations to share their stories, the impact that they are doing. And if you look at our YouTube channel, you will be, surprised at the kind of work that we've been doing, the people that are sharing their stories. So at work, I haven't really had a challenge because I work with such a great team. But before, in the beginning, like I tried to get into a certain, to apply for a certain job, and then it happened that there's a person who was working there. So this person went and told the boss, oh, be careful with that girl, she's HIV positive. So of course, that's how I lost that opportunity. But of course, it hasn't been easy. But right now, where I am, I'm really grateful and thankful that I have a team that is so supportive. And I'm also trying to push, what I really do to make sure that people get, these people who need a space to talk and share their stories can as well do so. Then also someone talked about how do you go about a relationship if someone is interested. Yeah, so is it, I think, yeah. What if a guy, yeah, it's here. What if a guy gets into a relationship with you despite your status? How do you both go about that relationship? Okay, like I said, you have to both take responsibility. Like I personally, I have to make sure I'm adhering to my medication. And then we also have something called U equals U, which is undetectable equals untransmissible. That when you're adhering to your medication, your viral load is suppressed. And when it's suppressed, the chances of infecting your partner are very low. So very low. And then you can as well go on, to proceed with life if you want to have kids, but it should be an open a relationship where you are both communicating. You have to be able to support. He should be able to support me, and I should be able to protect him. In which way? By being adherent and by being able I always encourage them to escort me to the facilities where I get my medication. Currently, I have a son who is HIV negative, and my sister also has a son who is HIV negative. We are not with the father of the children, but they are also HIV negative. And we do have, is it mother to child, PMTCT, prevention of mother to child. So once you find out that you are HIV positive, you have to go to the hospital and start PMTCT in order to prevent, to to protect the child not to get infected. Yeah, so that's how we are. Yeah, that's how we go on with life. But of course, like I said, not everything is always about HIV. There are also other, personality, characters, and other things. Yeah, but of course, you also have to you could as well, continue. You should encourage your partner, to also use condoms, especially if someone is still insecure. But like I said, it goes back to the communication and responsibility. I hope I've really brought it out so well.
Yeah, indeed, Eva. I know we only have 4 minutes remaining, and I just want to say for those who are still
I think I've lost you.
and science and technology has advanced to an extent that there are those that we call discordant couples. You can have a couple living, one is HIV positive and
I think I've lost you. Can you hear me?
from the time that you were low to the time that you accepted yourself, what was your turning point, or who was your turning point?
Pardon, I didn't really get you quite well in the beginning.
I'm saying from the time that you were very low to this time where you are vibrating, you are positive, you are enchanting, you are doing all this. What was your turning point that brought you to this Eva, this effervescent Eva now? What took you here?
All right. Yeah, so I think I would really first appreciate God, because there are moments whereby that's also a story for another day. The story of mental health is really huge, because you never know what to expect as a person living with HIV. I think I really relied on God most of my time, because I reached a point where I was not, studying, and I had to find something to hold on to, and it was God. So I encourage those who know God to never lose hope, never lose faith, because God can turn your life, around. And then the other thing is, I had a supportive family, not entirely though, but I had a supportive family. People who were willing to understand me, because remember when we disclosed publicly, no one knew. Everyone called us and they're like, what is happening? What is this? What is going on? But people, they were very understanding, and they're like, we are working with you guys regardless. And also when we would be at our grandparents' place, we would have neighbors who would not let their kids play with us because of, they had the rumors that had spread. But our families were very supportive. Our aunties, our uncles, our father, when he found out, he was very protective and very supportive. And we also had a very good counselor. She's called Madam Asia. She has been with us up to now. Like, we are of course big women now, but even up to now, she visits us, and she just talks to us. She encourages us. That's also one person that I would really like to appreciate. I also think the people that we have reached out to, they have been our support systems. Like, they have really done a tremendous job. When that guy came out and blackmailed us and formed a group on what is it, on Facebook, an account on Facebook, We have some friends who really fought for us, and they were like, we don't care what happens. They fought for us. They bashed the guys on social media. They threatened the guy. They did everything until the guy himself. I don't even know. We later on found out that, oh, so you are the one, but we don't even know where he is right now, because we would really, I personally really appreciate that he did it, because we wouldn't, have disclosed probably. So I really appreciate the friends and also the family, the online family that have been with us, that have stood with us, and the people who have also known about, our status and just stayed as friends and stayed, and those who have, embraced our cause and supported it. So those are some of the few people that have really kept us going.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eva. Unfortunately, we have come to the top of the time. It's 9:01 now, and we can't keep people longer than the 1 hour that we normally promise. I have a number of questions that I'm yet to ask you, but maybe we can push this to next week. If everybody thinks it's a good idea, we can push this to next week, and we'll ask the question differently, in terms of maybe we can reframe the topic around my support structure while living with HIV. All right, my support structure, so that we are able to feedback. There's a lot of that has been written, and I still have some questions, and you still have some stories to tell. So before I end, I just want to give you your gift of compliments here. Mohammed Abdallah Hassan says, thanks, Eva, for sharing the story. My question is, are you still facing the challenges in your community at market and public gatherings? This can be answered next week. Elijah says, Eva, we have met before, and your story is so inspiring and encouraging, and my prayer for you always, wow, more strength and blessings. Thank you so much, Elijah.
Thank you.
Mama Riziki says, yes, we are losing you on and off, director. Oh, thanks. I think I have to work on my end. Eva, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
That's a big one, great. Binti Changu says, thank you. Riziki says, you are awesome.
I think we have lost you again.
Yeah, Eva, I was saying you've got so much love, so much kisses, so much prayers. Please tell us your closing remarks, and then we meet again next week. Eva?
All right, before the closing remarks, I'll be traveling this weekend, so I don't think I'll be in position to join next week. I don't know if we could, maybe when I come back, because I'll be very busy on my trip. But I would really love to come back and share more. It's a lot. You can't exhaust it in one day. So please let me know if maybe my sister could come in for next week, because we've walked this journey together.
Is she ready?
She's on here and she's very, very excited.
Can she?
She can just maybe say hello. Yeah. Oh, she's on. We can't hear you though. Can you say something?
Oh, sorry. Hello, everyone. Happy to see you. Happy connecting. Yeah, thank you so much, Eva, for sharing your story, and thank you so much, SambaSports, for really giving us a space to share with you our story.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you, Million Jamie.
Sure. Thank you. I'll be looking forward to next week.
Okay. Okay.
And
Eva, now
she
your closing
will.
remarks.
Yes, please. And for those who have questions about relationships, I believe you will love her story, especially when it comes to relationships. And as a young advocate and as a young mother, her story is very powerful. So, of course, my closing remarks, I've shared my Facebook name. On Facebook, it's Eva Nakato. On Instagram, it's Eva Nakato, in brackets, Ivana. And on Twitter, it's Ivana. So please feel free to share, to contact me. And in case you have any inquiries, please feel free. We could always have a chat and we see how to, make life happen. But my closing remarks is take on the world. Like, don't let that situation define you. Today you're alive, tomorrow you're dead. So it doesn't make sense if you're stressed all the way. Take on life. Be who you are. You're not here to be appreciated by the world. Do what you feel comfortable with. Don't feel the pressures of the world. Don't go by them. Just have your principles as a young woman living with HIV and those who are also negative. Please feel free to be who you are. This is your time to shine. I believed in it. I believed in God, and I've walked this journey, and I can testify that it's not always bad. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Eva. What a way to close it. Eat life with a big spoon, Eva says. You don't have to apologize to anybody for being who you are. And you don't have to make everybody happy. It's about you and you making yourself happy, making comfortable, and enjoy life as much as you live it. Thank you very much, Eva. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we love you so much. And God bless you. Good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Good night. Good night.